She'll talk, and then she'll spend the rest of the time with us. Thank you, Betsy.
Very charismatic people.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be with you tonight, and so glad to support Heather in her newly announced campaign against Dave Weprin. Congratulations, Heather. I'm so glad to help in any way I can to support our GOP leaders here. We need these leaders because we are in the fight of our lives. Our freedom,
thank you,
our values, our American way of life are under attack. This is truly the fight of our lifetimes. Take the Obama health law.
terrible.
That law shreds our constitutional rights. It forces us to enroll in a one-size-fits-all government-designed health plan, whether we want to or not, whether we can afford it or not. And it enlarges the powers of the IRS to track us down and penalize us if we fail to comply. Nothing in the United States Constitution permits that. Even worse, for the first time in history, the federal government will dictate how doctors treat privately insured patients. So even if you're Aetna or Cigna or United Healthcare or Blue Cross Blue Shield or another big plan, the government is going to be in charge of your care. Your medical treatments have to be entered into an electronic database. Your doctor's decisions will be monitored. Your doctor will be receiving instructions from the Secretary of Health and Human Services when to do a bypass versus a stent, when to do a cesarean section. And ultimately, your doctor is going to have to choose between doing what's right for you and staying in the government's good graces. Now, the president promised that he was going to solve the problem of the uninsured by making health insurance more affordable. Well, you know that hasn't happened. You've gotten your premium increases in the mail. Instead, what this Obama health law actually does is vastly expand Medicaid, enrolling 85 million people, 31% of non-elderly Americans in Medicaid. It's welfare reform in reverse. And how is it going to be paid for? Well, there are $500 billion in new taxes in the health law. Now they're already whispering about a new tax, the VAT, the Vanishing America tax. Oh yes, you're going to hear more about that. But worse still, they expand Medicaid by eviscerating Medicare. They take $575 billion out of Medicare funding over the next decade, just when the baby boomers are turning 65, just when enrollment will increase by 30%. Those numbers don't add up. As we were discussing just a moment ago, it's going to mean fewer hip replacements, fewer knee replacements, fewer angioplasties, fewer bypass surgeries, fewer cataract operations. Those are the 5 procedures that have virtually transformed the experience of aging. There was a time when people who had arthritis were stuck in wheelchairs because they were too crippled to walk. But these procedures have enhanced the experience of growing old, and the Obama health law is going to undo that progress. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, only it's robbing Grandma and Grandpa to expand Medicaid. Now, to halt this attack on our freedom and the quality of our medical care, we've moved the battle to 2 new fronts: the state capitals and the federal courts. 28 states are now challenging the constitutionality of Obamacare. A majority of states in the United States. How about that? That is wonderful. 28 states. We are in appeals courts now all over the country. And there is going to be a constitutional showdown in the United States Supreme Court with a decision before the 2012 presidential election. And I'm confident that with the U.S. Constitution on our side, freedom will prevail. But meanwhile, Meanwhile, the administration is handing out waivers. 1,342 waivers already to companies, certain companies, and unions, certain unions, exempting them from the law the rest of us have to obey. In America, nobody should have to slither to the White House for an exemption. In these United States, the rule of law is king, not Mr. Obama. No, this is wrong, truly wrong, more dangerous than anything in the health law. A government that has the power to grant a waiver has the power to deny a waiver and destroy a business. So, if you want your waiver from the Obama health law, and you don't have a high-priced lobbyist in Washington or an easy pass to the White House, please see me afterwards or come to our website, defendyourhealthcare.us, because I'm going to Washington with a list of all the hardworking, tax-paying, law-abiding Americans who want their waivers. Everyone in America wants a waiver. Now, there's another battle we have to win. The battle against big government. Because government has truly grown beyond the consent of the governed. I remember a time when we used to call politicians public servants. Now they're making us into servants. Think about it. Working harder and harder, we're working harder and harder to pay for all these government programs. After 2.5 years in office, the Obama administration has pushed federal spending so high that local, state, and federal government programs now consume 42% of GDP. 42% of everything all of us produce going to work all year long is consumed by government programs. Do you get 42% of your happiness from the government?
No.
No, I didn't think so. 42%. There's only one other time in American history when government sucked up 42% of the fruits of our labor. And that was during World War II when we were fighting for our survival as a nation. Nothing today justifies expropriating 42% of American labor, American productivity. Now, the president claims that he has pared his budget to the bone. That's a lie. I've read the president's budget. He increases foreign aid 50% over the next 5 years. Foreign aid. 174 out of the 192 countries in the world receive U.S. aid. That is how low the bar is. Every banana dictatorship gets it, right? No matter how corrupt. We should not be sending that money overseas. We need it right here at home. No more foreign aid. And members of Congress are pushing the level of spending up to a level common in European countries. But we Americans don't want to be Europeanized. And to pay for all this spending, as I mentioned, they're now floating the idea of a VAT, a Vanishing America tax. We have to oppose that tax because it will push the cost of goods beyond reach and destroy our standard of living. The White House is now controlled by people who don't share our values and don't value our freedom. The president is turning the rule of law into rule by waivers and cronyism. He is ignoring the limits on government power implanted in the most important document ever created by man, the U.S. Constitution. We have to take our government back now, before it is gone forever. We Republicans need to rein in government spending, repeal that Obama health law, end foreign aid, and reduce our dependence on foreign energy. Does that make us the party of no, as I've sometimes heard? No, we are the party of grow. The Republican Party is growing opportunity, growing freedom, growing a future for our children and our grandchildren. So let's get to work. We have so much to do. We have the future of America in our hands, and I'm so glad to be with you tonight, raising money for our GOP. Let's get to work. Thank you.
I remember Betsy, in, I think it was 94, 96, and we had our 100-year anniversary for the club, and she came, the Fran Werner.
That's right.
And how many years we had the Fran. And I really appreciate you coming tonight. She's going to stay a little while, talk to people, they have a lot of questions to ask.
Have a little wine, maybe?
Have wine. We're very fortunate to have Betsy here. We have John the PTA, we have Senator Cadavan, we have Councilman Dan Halloran, we have John Hankedy. Really, it's a great crowd here. The next person